Sure how easy it'll be for everybody to see on this one, but remember the chair that I made and you guys watched the video on, which, by the way, that one's up to 156 views. I don't know 156 people, so thank you for taking the time to watch it. Anyway, what I've done here is I've set up the old sawhorses, put my staining board on tabletop on top of it. I've got the chair up on here. I've got my inexpensive spray gun, and you saw that just about tipped because my backyard is not level. So let's reposition things. There we go. Okay. All right. Okay. So like I said, inexpensive sawhorses. I didn't want to get stain all over the brand new ones on day one. It'll probably happen in 2 days. You know, that's how things go. You buy tools, then you use the tools. Yes, I just moved my little canopy back a little bit, so maybe I don't get too much overspray on it. Like I said, we're going to use the sprayer, spray the chair down. What I did is I have 2 different sealers here. They're both Thompson's water seal. They're made for using on deck and outdoor wood projects. The true cedar is what I actually stained the deck out of, and for me that's a little bit darker and not quite as natural looking as I like on the chairs. So what I did was I took a tiny little bit of that and mixed it up with the clear water seal. So we'll see how it turns out. Just an experiment. But anyway, don't forget to protect your lungs when you're spraying anything. You'll have to forgive me if I sound like, I don't know, Darth Vader or Bane or whatever. But here goes. All right, so stuff's still flying around in the air, but you can see it took like 2 minutes. I'll have to let it dry. flip it over so I can get the bottom of the seat. Yes, it's not exposed, but I'm still going to do that. I also want to get the bottom of the legs. So I'm going to want to put a sealant on the bottom of the legs. And what I'll do there is I'll actually use a Flex Seal spray, because where the wood is cut there, you have what's called end grain. And the end grain is going to sit on the ground, and any moisture that's under there, it's going to try to wick that moisture up into the legs. That's why if you look at wooden stuff outside, you usually see it rotting at the bottom, and it'll start creeping up, because that's the wood is actively still trying to pull the moisture up into itself. So that's also why it's important to get your end grains on both ends when you're spraying anything. But would that take like 2 minutes? And now all I need to do is just get a rag and wipe off the overspray, just so I don't have runs and whatnot. So we'll go ahead and take care of that. So wiping down the overspray is just a wipe. It's not a scrub. Just wipe nice and light. Protect your lungs, protect your skin. Put a little something on your hands. So I think that very light tint, I think that's going to work out really nice. Going to look a lot more natural than that deck does. That's what I'm wiping off, so you can see all the tint in there. But it doesn't really show that strongly on the wood. I said I'm just wiping off the excess, not scrubbing. I'm just gently rubbing down it, just to pull off the parts that are running. When you're wiping it off like this, your rag is picking it up, and as you're going through, if there are spots that the spray missed, you'll be covering it a little bit with the rag. And that's the other thing, that when you're wiping it down, is to make sure you're looking at what you're wiping down to see if there's any spots where you actually do need to come back and hit it again. Like this part of this leg, I'm going to go ahead and polish just a little bit because I missed some parts in here. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get it on there. I'm not too terribly worried about it, because my next step is to lay this over on its back and spray the underside. So, and since I have the gloves on, I don't have to wait for it to completely dry. I can go ahead and do that. I just hope I don't knock over my whole little makeshift table when I do. We shall see. Again, these chairs are not light. I haven't actually weighed it, but it is not light. That's why the whole table wants to wiggle and wobble. Alrighty, so breathe the mask back on and back to spraying. I'm taking the gloves off because they got stuff on them and I don't want to get it all over my mask. So All right, same drill, just back to gentle wipe downs. Don't have to be quite as careful on the bottom because that's the part that's not going to be seen, but just don't let it drip. So we'll just wipe it down. So it's at 5 minutes total now on staining versus where it was taking me the better part of a day to stain by hand using brushes and rags and all that kind of stuff to get it on. And that was using your traditional wood stains. This is your deck seal, so this sprays on. You don't have to do multiple coats. You can if you like, but it's not required. You do have to repeat this, I think, annually, maybe every 2 years. I'd just say keep an eye on it, and when it looks like it wants attention, give it attention. Might be a year, might be 2. Could possibly go longer, I suppose. So all that's left now is to let that dry enough to where I can come back and put the Flex Seal on it. I don't want to put the Flex Seal on while this is still damp. I want the Flex Seal to get a good adhesion to it. So we'll let this dry. It'll probably be Thursday before I get back to this. So once this dries up enough, I'll put it on a stable surface in case we get winds or anything between now and Thursday. And I'm going to see if I can make the video on how I think I can make chairs and chair assembly more efficient, more user-friendly, whichever word you want to use. But that's what my next one is. I'm going to make a jig. So basically a frame to hold all the chair parts while I put them together. So we'll see how that turns out. Again, I don't know who watched. 156 of you watched me make the other chair, or make this chair actually. And we're basically at the end of this journey on this chair. Like I said, all I have to do is put some Flex Seal on the ends. I'm not going to bother trying to videotape that. But I just use some Flex Seal, put it on the ends, get a real good coat, let that dry, put a second coat on because I don't want moisture wicking up and ruining the whole chair. So this chair is finally finalized. I gave you the measurements on it before. It's a 22-inch box, a 22-inch box. The back legs are cut at a 15-degree angle so that the front legs are straight. It's probably not the best setup. I probably need to do like a 2 or 3 or 4-degree angle on the front. But I told you a long time ago, me and angles aren't friends. So I figure things out as I go. The chair itself, I've got it from the bottom of the leg to the part where you sit on this chair is 19 inches. For me, that is very comfortable. My son sat in it. It was very comfortable for him at that height. But keep in mind, I'm 6'4", he is 6'6". So if 19 inches is too tall, a regular chair height like you would buy in the store, most of them are 17 inches. So if you wanted to try to repeat this, but you didn't want it quite that tall, be 17 inches from here to here. For taller people, if you like yours to be taller, just go up. And I would say do a 1/2 inch at a time, because the other chair that I made, like this one, I've got it at 19.5, and it's actually not as comfortable as this. A 1/2 inch made a difference in the comfort of the chair. So again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy. Be blessed. Be safe.